I thought I might take a shot at in doing a little political commentary this Cinco de Mayo, May 5th. I don't know if you want to be on this recording. Maybe you don't. Okay, well, you better not talk anymore. But if you'd like to chip in here and there, that'd be all right too. Anyway, yeah, a little political commentary this Cinco de Mayo, 5th of May. So what have we got? I'm looking, oh, this is all Toronto Sun, so that's biased. So let's not go with anything biased. Okay, Trudeau attacks Polyev in speech at Liberal convention. Okay, so everybody's got this one memorized already. And not that I have, but he was dismissive about people saying that liberals were too woke. That's the key of it. He was dismissive about people complaining about wokeness. So I don't know that if he's noticed or not, but a lot of really sincere and knowledgeable and talented and super intelligent, articulate, gifted people who write books and things like that will one day be teaching, should be teaching that you should be able to get a master's degree in woke ideology, because we have to protect ourselves against it. Like, I'm serious. We should have. This is an absolute disaster on so many levels. He's a disaster in terms of the way that he's handled the economy. That's going to be the worst of it in a way, physically, I guess. But what he's done to our souls is just astounding. Absolutely astounding. I forget, it was one of the conservatives gave a speech in the House of Commons, and there's nobody there listening to it. But he wanted to talk about what to him it meant to be a conservative. And he thought that a lot of it came down to a question of freedoms. So if you look at it for the last maybe 50 years or so, there really has been a tendency for the left to be focused on the freedom to smoke marijuana and the freedom to engage in, whatever kind of love life you want. And not that people shouldn't be allowed to do that, but that's the sort of freedoms that they've been fighting for. In a sense, I think you could say they've been fighting for maybe a freedom from responsibility, in a sense. So that it seems like on the left for quite a while, that's the sort of freedoms that they're mostly concerned about. And the conservatives are interested in the basics. Freedom of speech is the most basic, because without freedom of speech, you can't complain about how you're being taken advantage of. It's the most important right. It has to be held as a sacrosanct. And they don't, because they're totally out of touch with the foundations. They understand what the foundations are. It's not that they're dumb. It's that they don't agree with them. So conservatives are looking at it and they're thinking, okay, so what we've lost is the freedom to enjoy the streets of our city at night. And right now, I mean, God, it's incredible how much stuff has been going on really very close to my house. Yeah, so, we're more concerned about that kind of freedom, right? The freedom to say what sort of things we think are appropriate to be being taught to our kids. If you were to go back to, you know, even to the 1960s, let's say, and said that, we're going to be dealing with this problem of early educators creating gender confusion in like 3, 4, 5-year-olds. They're causing gender confusion in kids. It's as obvious as you can get. Okay, so let's look at the headlines here, this Cinco de Mayo. Will Canada ever be ready to move on from the monarchy? So that's CTV. I watched the CBC thing. And they're, Canadians don't really care about it, and if, they don't know anything about it, and they don't care that much about it, and they've got better things to think about, so they're not really, nobody's pushing, nobody can, what it amounts to is nobody's pushing for Canada moving on for the monarchy, and the CBC's attitude is, isn't that just kind of stuffy and boring, It's 2023 after all, right? Should be moving on from that. No, that is not what Canada should be doing. It was the British that really formulated the system of government that brings the most peace, it seems, right? The most I don't know which term to use, equal or not, equitable. I would say equitable. People can earn if in this system. If you want to try, you can earn and support yourself. I hear all these complaints again. Oh yeah, it was King Charles was talking about the utter shame of slavery and all that stuff, and of course it's absolutely horrendous. But the problem is that they're by far the British especially were by far the most gentle, I think, which is kind of a cruelty as well. You can see that the British kindness to Aboriginal people ended up being very cruel. And they're extending it too. So the problem was that they were isolated in these communities, and so now the line is this connection to the land, and we're going to stay in these places, right? Well, it's okay if the place is functional, and if it has to be close to the city. Nobody wants to live way out in the country like that. What for? So now the idea is that they're going to stay there, and they got a lot of the same problems with alcohol, and plus problems with drug addiction. And nobody talks straight about anything. Like, just how well is this reconciliation going? Well, look around. I don't see Aboriginal people doing that well. But, I mean, not bad, right? But it's just, the thing is that there's really does seem to be a lot that are just really in difficult shape. Really difficult shape. It's not good. It's not fair. It's not whatever. They just replace the old system with another system. Okay. What role will Canada play in King Charles' coronation? Should Canada expel China's diplomat accused of targeting this conservative? So the thing is that what people are missing here, and the conservatives are, if you ask me, well, they're too full of themselves, because how could you not be too full of yourself? No candidate for prime minister in Canada has ever been gifted with such a horrendous prime minister. I mean, he's so down there you can't even see him. He's so preposterous, right? So they've been gifted. And this Chinese interference one is the best one yet. I think people are in denial, or they don't quite understand what's being said, or something. I don't know, like how he hasn't been thrown out by now. There should have been pressure on the NDP just from the population. Like, what are we doing? Like, they literally said that they were going after the problem of political interference because they knew it was going on, right? They knew about this problem. And so they set up different branches of government that were no doubt very expensive, right? Set up two more, and there were already two, I think. So in the end, there was 4 or 5 bodies that were tasked with weeding out election interference. Like, think of this. That was their precise job. That's what they got paid to do. And they didn't do it. I'm sorry, that's not quite true. Like, CSIS did their job. They handed it on, and it was supposed to go to the Prime Minister, of course. How could this be happening? The Prime Minister not know about it? And I remember at some points him claiming that he did never knew about this and never knew about that. It was just insane. And so they have to dig into it and find the actual time that he was told and all this stuff. And he knew about it all along and he cooperated with it because he benefited. Like, how gross is that? And it's not just him. It's his cabinet, it's his party. It's a lot of bureaucrats knew this was happening. Like, I remember listening to one Chinese guy talking about it, and we're wondering who these 11 people who received money from Beijing were, and he said, "Well, I could tell you who they are. Everybody knows who they are. Like, it's not a secret." They told kids that they would take away their student visas if they didn't go vote. How are you going to keep that as a secret? Threatened students with removal of their student visa if they didn't go vote, and that was a secret? Come on. The diplomats were bragging about it, right? Like, it's really bad. But what they're not getting is that with this conservative guy that they're saying, okay, so here he's saying of targeting. So the targeting, or the verb that they'll use is always quite aggressive and all that. But all that the Chinese government did is inquire about his relatives, which is threatening enough. I agree. But they didn't do anything to his family. That's the thing, right? They didn't do it. So you can't forget that they didn't do anything to his family. Like, if you think China is always wrong, then you're mistaken. I spent quite a bit of time around Chinese people. So, but I'd like to stand up for China right now too. I mean, the COVID thing and Uyghurs and all that, absolutely just horrendous, right? And this effort that they have to influence politics all around the world. Canada was the softest one. We didn't kick anybody out. We didn't kick a fuss. We didn't do anything. We let them do it. So New Zealand and Australia, United States, and England look at that and think we're pathetic. Probably New Zealand did the same thing. We're not in the Five Eyes anymore. And we should be kicked out of NATO because we don't pay our bills. Probably. There's an argument to that. That argument is being made. Anyway, the thing with this deal with this conservative Chong, I guess his name is, yeah, should remember they didn't do anything to his family. Like, that's what, in a sense, what really matters, right? That's what really matters. The other stuff is scary, but it's not unusual, no. So this has been going on for like a couple of days, actually, this focus on this one situation. I've never heard anybody mention that, China didn't hurt anybody. Okay, so that's my political commentary for 5th of May, Cinco de Mayo. I never noticed that until just recently. Cinco de Mayo. It's just 5 of May, right? Just add an O. And it's Cinco and not 5. Cinco de 5 of Mayo. Cinco de Mayo, but it's Mayo. M-A-Y-O. Cinco de Mayo. Okay, happy Cinco de Mayo.